Just saying there, Stephen, was slightly dehydrated earlier on. That's going to be fun, you know. Try to do this intro. That's not a nervous laugh, guys. That's just the way I laugh. Well, hello and welcome in to this Saturday's entertainment news. It's not even entertainment news, it's just an unnamed podcast, which is more free-flowing than entertainment news. I say it's not entertainment news, but I used that thumbnail. I digress. My name is Jonathan C. Walsh. I am your host for tonight. Joining me to the left is Stephen John McLaughlin with the Adidas hat on and also the Adidas t-shirt, and I'm wearing an Adidas hoodie. We love Adidas on here. He's the co-host of the show for the night, tonight, this evening, whichever adjective you want to use, whatever time it is, where you are. Why have I got an iPad pencil? I don't know. It was there and I picked it up. Stephen, we are going to be discussing Star Wars. Kings of the Galaxy, fighting for you and I, fighting for me. Star Wars. It's the Celebration 2025 event currently underway in Japan. Right, well, not right now, because I believe it may be going on right now, because it'll probably be Sunday morning, afternoon in Japan. I don't know the timelines. But Stephen, there's been a new Star Wars movie announced. We knew of its existence. We had spoke about this before. I believe Sean Levy, Ryan Gosling, dynamic duo, working together. I have pondered the question on the thumbnail and in the title. Well, not in the thumbnail, but on the title. Will it even happen? I'm going to throw you right under the bus, Stephen. Do you think that this announcement is a signal of a change of tact for Lucasfilm and Disney, that we will finally see progression in a cinematic sense with Star Wars? Because we've had a load of TV shows, and the gap between Rise of Skywalker and where we are now, no films though, despite a whole boatload of announcements in those sort of grim years. Do you think we will actually see this film happening? And what's your thoughts on the announcement?
Firstly, John, that's probably been the longest that I've stayed silent in the introduction to one of the...
I didn't think your mic was working.
Listen, the reason for this is because when I watched the playback of us talking and in the way that we've been set up remotely, when our voices overlap, it does my head in. So I'm going to remain... It's going to be like an episode of River City. That will go over a lot of people's heads, but there's going to be a lot of pausing when it comes to me speaking. So that simple answer, yes, John. I think it will happen. The reason for that is because you don't bring someone like Ryan Gosling of his stature onto a stage to humiliate him. You don't do that. And looking at previous celebrations, when they do bring on the sort of star of the show, whether it be a web series or whether it be a film, it generally happens. We saw it with Ewan McGregor when they announced the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, and it happened. And it happened with Pedro Pascal as well.
Yeah.
So I don't see any reason why it's not going to happen. I think it's one of those ones that, from what I believe, is going to be set 5 years after the Rise of Skywalker. How people feel about that, I'm not really sure. There'll be probably a mixed bag. There'll be sort of people that will be excited about it because it's a Star Wars film, finally. And it's been a long time. We're talking 6 years since the last one. But there'll also be people that will stubbornly not go near it.
Yeah.
Perhaps, maybe because it's so close to a trilogy that a lot of people disliked, you know. And although I don't know if it will interconnect, John, you asked the question, is this going to maybe bleed into the Rey film?
Yeah.
Who knows? Don't know too much about it other than the title.
Do you think that'll be
and
5 years
it's a
out?
working title at this moment, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah. Do you think that'll be as close as this film in terms of timelines? 5 years set out from the events of Rise of Skywalker, the Rey movie? Because for me, the rumblings regarding Rey and the script that's been put forward in terms of rumours, no one knows for sure. Although you've got guys like Mike Zero, I don't know if he's still doing the rounds on the internet, who think that they know everything, even though they waffle the biggest lot of shit and are wrong 99% of the time. But the rumours...
I forgot about that guy.
Fucking Mike Zero, yeah. Yeah, Brian May. The rumours were that it was going to be set way in the future, and that she had became, all-powerful Jedi. She was already all-powerful, she could fucking do everything. But she had begun to set up a new Jedi academy, akin to what Luke had done in the expanded universe, and indeed in the past, before the events of the sequel trilogy. Of course, he failed, because he's a guy, and of course, all men have to fail in Star Wars now. That's just the way it is with the current president of Lucasfilm. So let's get a woman in to do it. And we're doing that with Rey, by all accounts. I don't think you can have a 5-year gap. I mean, she's good, but she's not that fucking good. And have her set up an academy and have a team around her, presumably, and students who she's imparting whatever wisdom that she possesses onto. I don't know, Stephen. I mean, I don't want to see it connecting to a Rey trilogy or movie. Rey's a deeply unlikable character at this point, and it's no harm to Daisy Ridley. Seems a nice person, but I'm not connecting with that character. No adversity, no jeopardy at any point in her arc, all powerful from the get-go. And yeah, now she's assumed the title of Skywalker, and we're continuing on this story through her, and I have got not the slightest bit of interest in continuing the adventures of Rey Palpatine, aka fake Skywalker. So if they want to make a go at bringing Ryan Gosling in, and look, to be fair, Ryan is great. He's a phenomenal actor, oodles of charisma, presence, personality, fucking great actor. Not that that means you're going to succeed in Star Wars. And you're going to bring in Sean Levy. You've got two great people involved to different degrees. It should work. Why spoil any potential success with a movie by linking it to that shit show? I don't like the setting. I don't like the setting. No. I do agree with you though, Stephen. They wouldn't have got him on the stage if they weren't planning and going ahead with it. So perhaps this is the moment where they finally do it. Having said that, Patty Jenkins doing photo shoots and inside X-Wings and whatnot didn't happen. So
yeah, I mean that's behind the scenes stuff, John, and it's similar to the Ryan Johnson thing that was a few years ago as well, where you got a quote or two from Ryan and it was all off camera. It was nothing as sort of centre staged as Star Wars Celebration. And just when you talk about not having that interest, John, I didn't even know Star Wars Celebration was happening this weekend. And this is something, John, that you and I used to look forward to, perhaps maybe 7 or 8 years ago. Certainly round about the time of The Force Awakens and before The Last Jedi. And it was just a great event. Don't get me wrong, there's been some good moments in Celebration over the last few years, maybe the last 5 years, with the likes of Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor coming into it, and announcing the Ahsoka series, which was kind of a mixed bag, but I was excited to see that, and I was excited about the announcement. And there's been other things as well, obviously, the Skeleton Crew, some animated stuff as well. But I was looking at the schedule earlier on for the 3 days, and a lot of it's quite nostalgia heavy.
Yeah.
A lot of it's looking back over the sort of the 90s, the special editions, all the sort of arcade games that were out back then. And I don't know if it's a tactic that Lucasfilm are using to try and remind people how good Star Wars was, because it's kind of going the other way. It's reminding us how good Star Wars was compared to now.
And it's suppressing us,
I don't think that kind of tactic's going to work or wash with a lot of people.
No, I mean, it only works if you get back to that quality. And to be fair, we've seen sort of examples of them going to that level of filmmaking and TV shows. With Rogue One to an extent, and obviously Andor and Mandalorian Season 1, there's been inklings of having something special there when you get the likes of Favreau and Filoni and people like Tony Gilroy, Gareth Edwards to a lesser extent involved. But I mean, I wouldn't go down the nostalgia route with Star Wars. We have to, and look, it pains me to quote the sequel trilogy, but it is Adam Driver, and he's one of the more likeable characters, Kylo, which is mental because he's supposed to be the villain. But forget about the past, kill it if you have to. That's what they have to do with Star Wars moving forward. They need to get away from Skywalkers, R2-D2, C-3PO, fucking Tatooine. All that stuff has to be dead now. have some originality, some creative juices flowing, create new worlds, a new timeline, new characters, do something fucking radical with it. Because as long as you're connected to the original movies, Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, Palpatine, you're doomed. Because there's so much expectancy, so much baggage comes with it. Multiple generations of fans who want to see their version of the story told. And sadly, 9 times out of 10, their version of the story is far better than what whoever fucking creative person they bring in has in mind for Star Wars. And certainly the ulterior motive laden Kathleen Kennedy, who has to impact every single fucking political message or bollocks that's swirling around her head into projects. So, I mean, I would stay away from the past. I'd stay away from nostalgia. I've not watched it, Stephen. I mean, I'm like you. I didn't know this was happening. And in fairness, it's probably a timing thing with me, because I'm not going to be getting out of my bed at 4 and 5. I'm fucking out of my bed at 4 and 5, to be fair, most nights. I'm not getting out of my bed early morning to watch this in Japan. I'm just not doing it. It's like F1. If they're in America or Japan or the other side of the world, I'm just not going to watch it. And I'm one of the biggest F1 fans you'll meet. So regardless of where I'm at with Star Wars, the decision to go to Japan has killed it for me. I will not be watching it live. I'll see the highlights. But yeah, I didn't know what was happening. I'm more buzzing for WrestleMania, which is happening tonight, than I am for Star Wars, which is fucking
John,
crazy.
I know we'll get into obviously the whole calendar for the 3-day event and stuff like that, and we'll maybe display it on screen and we can talk about Friday's stuff. And obviously the stuff that's happened today as we speak, it's still Saturday here, but we obviously know it's into Sunday now in Japan. But I did see some of the screenshots, Jon Favreau sharing a photograph with Sigourney Weaver, who I think is going to be appearing in the Mandalorian film, John. And
Cool.
I don't know if it's just a cameo or if it's an actual part or whatever, I'm not really sure. But again, The Mandalorian, although it was linked in that time period of the original trilogy round about then, it still had an intrigue about it, still had an interest, because you're kind of delving into the sort of legend of the Mandalorians and how they lived their lives and what happened to them, the tragedy, and then where they go from there. And it was an interesting concept, but you're absolutely right. I think season 1 was definitely a fantastically written series, and it was the first for Star Wars as well. You've got to remember it was the first web series they did, and for Lucasfilm, I'll give them credit, because when you go from a film format into a web series format, it's an entirely different thing in terms of the pacing of the story. And also, you've got to condition the Star Wars fans' minds as well into getting used to that format, which I think they did exceedingly well. And I think season 2 was also, as you like to say, a winner chicken dinner. But that's where the Grogu story should have stopped for me. That's why I'm not really excited about this film coming out. I think it should have ended with season 3, which had some good quality moments in it, but generally I think it was ever diminishing returns for the series, and certainly season 3 was the weakest out of the 3 seasons. But to have a film going into that as well, it's going to have to be pretty special. I don't know when that's coming out. I'm not really sure of the release date of The Mandalorian and Grogu, but
Must be coming up shortly, because you run the risk of just losing momentum with the characters and continuity. You've obviously got Ahsoka presumably coming out at some point, and it's all going to connect. All those characters, that sort of TV universe, are going to culminate in that movie, I'd presume. That's the end of that era of storytelling with those characters. So it'd have to happen soon. I would imagine maybe next year, late next year. I don't know exactly when it's due to come out. But Stephen, The Mandalorian was different for me, because that was exploring, that was the first project, sort of visual medium, to explore the vacuum between the original trilogy and the sequel trilogy. And even though the sequel trilogy is a fucking shambles and went nowhere, there's still intrigue at that point when it came out over how the First Order was buffed out of the Empire, what was going on in that vacuum, that power vacuum, when the Empire disappeared. know what's crazy? My concentration's getting killed, but I'll come back to it. I'll be like Billy Connolly tonight. My dog's outside the door, and I know he's outside the door because I kicked him out the room. But I know he's still there because he's farting. And the fart's coming through the door. I thought I'd lost it. I thought I'd lost the flatulence. But I can still fucking smell it because he's outside the door. So yippee. But let's get back to that. Power vacuum, I wanted to see that. What kind of forces were trying to be opportunistic and take hold? And what interested me in The Mandalorian initially, I've said this before, I'm repeating myself, was the lone gunslinger thing. Where it's almost like, what was he called? I forget his name, is it Decker or some shit like that? I've only seen it once, but like Blade Runner. You've got like these like Blade Runners and it's like almost Wild West. Gunslingers, lonesome characters. The minute that they introduced Grogu, it was fun for a bit. You could see the dollar signs in their eyes when they seen the merchandising opportunities, and then he's just stuck about like a fucking bad smell, like my dog's fart. And it's overstayed its welcome, that whole side character thing. It's not a mismatched body, it just doesn't fucking work for me. It's boring, and it's bogged down a great character in The Mandalorian. Din Djarin is his name, isn't it?
Yeah, you're working with a
puppet.
with CGI characters, playing off a character that's masked. So there's no emotion in the human element of it. There's no emotion, realistic emotion in the Grogu character either. So it's very difficult because we can't understand Grogu's what he's saying, and it's got to be translated through the Mandalorian. You're losing a lot of emotion right now. Someone's saying that it's season 3 of the Mandalorian. Pedro Pascal, it felt like he was a voice actor, and the stunt double was doing all the sort of heavy lifting throughout because I don't think he was unmasked.
No.
I don't remember actually if he was unmasked at all. But,
not until near the end, I want to say.
Yeah.
It may have been season 2. He may have took the mask off for the first time.
Yeah. Well, he took it off.
He was dealing with Giancarlo Esposito's character. What was the name of his character again? Was it a Moff? I forget his name. The Giancarlo Esposito character. I think he took the mask off, or the helmet off for the first time. Moff Gideon. Yeah. When they were in that sort of siege set up, and I think he had to take his helmet off, and that was him. He'd been ostracised, so he could go about with the helmet off a couple of times. But Steve, I mean, that's what I'm talking about with Star Wars. You've always got issues, no matter what route you choose to go down, because some set of fans will love certain aspects, others will hate it, and trying to harmonise such a diverse group of people into the same sort of happy place, if you'd like, watching your content. It must be a fucking nightmare, to be fair. But I don't know, man. I don't know what they're going to do moving forward after The Mandalorian disappears. I mean, they're going to have some sort of originality in their brains, and I'm just looking through this timeline here of Celebration and seeing if there's even an inkling of some future planning in terms of TV. I'm seeing the story of the faithful Wookiees, Ewoks and droids. That's clearly like a Warwick Davis love fest or something like that, because he played a lot of them, didn't he? He didn't play a Wookiee, but you know what I mean. It's those kind of characters who are going to be in doing like bits on the experiences on the set and whatnot. I mean, it's not something that's grabbing me. Ahsoka.
I think they're throwing a lot of bones to the production people in this celebration, John. The behind the scenes people you don't usually see. And to an extent, I think I think you have to acknowledge these people. You know, the Doug Chans and
he's great.
I can't remember Dennis. I can't remember his name. The guy from Industrial Light and Magic. But you know, there's so many. John Knoll is one of the other ones as well. But there's so many people that if you've been a Star Wars fan long enough and you've seen a lot of the documentaries and the behind the scenes stuff, and even if you saw the I can't remember what that documentary was called. It was on for a couple of hours.
The one you reviewed?
No. This was a genuine Lucasfilm one. I can't remember what it's called. I'll come back to me, but it was a very good one. But there's a lot of people in the background that the Rick McCallums, etc. You know, producers and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's what made Star Wars great, Stephen. It was those guys. I mean, we all know the story of his wife, and who was it? Was it Gary Kurtz? Am I butchering it?
Yeah.
who
he was the original producer,
who took control of the editing of the original movie and saved it. I don't know if it was Kurtz who did that. I know he was involved in Empire Strikes Back, but certainly Lucas's wife took control. I mean, that's a small... Oh, I mean, it's an editor. That's a hugely important part of filmmaking, for fuck's sake. I mean, they put the film together. But, little side players and the cast, and not the cast, but the crew members and whatnot, who industrial light and magic, like you said, the props and stuff, they are hugely important for those original Star Wars movies and even the prequels. We've seen like the sand and the ingenuity it goes into creating these effects. They are massively important in a franchise like Star Wars, so I've got no issues. That's what Celebration for me is about. That's something I've always enjoyed watching, the sort of insight into crafting the TV shows and the movies. I love that behind the scenes stuff at the nut and bolts aspect.
John. I love the struggle of Star Wars as well. Empire of Dreams was the documentary, by the way.
Yeah.
Just the struggle Lucas had of getting that first film out, and then not only that, I mean, people forget that although the first film was such a success, trying to get the sequel out and under his conditions was a trial time for George Lucas as well, and so much so try to set up these other sub-companies, the likes of ILM and the likes of Skywalker Sound, and
he was involved in Pixar, wasn't he?
Obviously, it was Pixar that picked it up after, but it evolved into Pixar. But he was trying to set up a lot, so he couldn't direct, and that's where you get Erwin Kershner. Directed Strikes Back, and a great story, John. And for anyone that's not seen it, I would highly recommend seeing it. I think it's actually on Disney Plus. I'm sure it is, but a fantastic documentary, and it kind of reminds you, the passion and the knowledge that George Lucas had into developing this world that we all love, or we all loved, and inspiration from the likes of Tolkien, inspiration from
Akira Kurosawa, who I'm looking at right now. There's a panel in the morning of the next day, obviously Sunday. That's a Paul McCartney thing.
To see that getting acknowledged in Celebration. I don't mind that at all, but at the same time, you still have to have upcoming news going forward. It's nice to look back, but you have to, if you want to intrigue your audience and keep them interested in your product, then you have to let them know what's coming up next. And to be fair, they've brought out Ryan Gosling, they've brought out Levy as well, and I think that's how I'm quite confident in saying that this is not one of these announcements, backhanded announcements, I would want to say, where they perhaps maybe drop it on their Star Wars website or on their social media channels or behind the scenes photographs. This is in your face, this is front and centre sort of news, so I do believe it will happen, but I'm not excited about it. I like Ryan Gosling as an actor.
Well, we were saying, weren't we, Stephen?
What was that?
We were saying about Gosling how, there's stories coming out. I'm going to get into it in a few moments, I'd imagine, about certain actors involved with Star Wars hitting out at the fandom and blaming the fandom, and rightly so in some instances, because there is parts of the Star Wars fandom and modern day geek sort of fandom in general which are fucking racist. And I've said this time and again, we've seen it with Harry Potter, the most recent announcement that Snape's going to be played by a black actor. Immediately you're seeing unbelievably racist comments on X and other social media platforms, and the main people showing discontent because they wanted the character to be more like what they envisaged in the book and what was described in the book, and maybe what Alan Rickman did 20 years ago, 15 years ago. But yet there's still definitely aspects of racism in there. But I digress, going back to it, we've got, I forget her name, the Academy Award-winning young actress, not back her own Star Wars, and we were speaking about it, Steve, before we came on. Ryan Gosling's not really caring. He's a massive Star Wars fan. I was reading an article about him. He had Star Wars bed sheets growing up. This is a once-in-a-lifetime chance for him to star in Star Wars. It's not going to affect his career. He's a massive star.
John, similar to Andrew Garfield, who is an accomplished actor, and he was before he took even the role of Spider-Man on the back of Tobey Maguire. But he did it because it was it's something he grew up with, and similar to Ryan Gosling, it's something I think he'd regret not doing if he turned it down. But it's not going to affect his career, similar to Andrew Garfield, who's been on to bigger and better films, standalone films, in different roles, and hasn't relied on the bigger franchises, if you like, making him a household name. They've done all the sort of groundwork early in their careers, certainly with Ryan Gosling, who worked through rom-coms, he's worked through comedy, he's worked through sci-fi, he's working his way through different genres because he is a versatile actor. So when it comes to Star Wars, I think it's more of a passion thing. I think it's more a personal thing he's took this role on. But it's not, whether it succeeds or fails, it's not going to really affect Ryan Gosling as an actor and his credibility in any way.
Well, he's renowned. He's an A-list actor. He's made his career, he's made his money. This is a passion project. And look, I hope it pays off for him, because I'm still a Star Wars fan. Fundamentally, I do want Star Wars to succeed. I'm not getting out rooting for it to fail because I don't agree with the president involved in Lucasfilm at the moment, and I want her to feel vicariously through the films or whatever. I do want them to succeed. And I want Ryan to succeed because I like him as an actor and as a person. He's funny guy, really charismatic. So I hope it succeeds for him. I'll get into the other comments because we've not really discussed it, and I think it's a fucking nonsense from one person in particular. Just reading what Levy said. New space adventure, it's not a prequel, not a sequel, it's a new adventure. It's set in a period of time we haven't explored yet. So technically it is a sequel if it's set 5 years after, but that may allude to that it's not connecting into Rey. It's going to be a separate adventure.
John, this is what they had to do, and I think, I know in hindsight it's a good thing, but this is what Lucasfilm should have done the minute they signed with Disney. I know the discussions about the prequel trilogy were already in the works before Disney took over. We know the story about that, but this is one thing that they should have just left alone. They should have left alone the Skywalker saga at episode 6 and left it. I know a lot of Star Wars fans would have been up in arms about it, but you've got to look back and say, was it worth it? Definitely not. Has it kind of marred the original trilogy? Yes, it certainly has. And in hindsight, we all look back and go, I would say the majority of people would say, I wish these films were never made.
Yeah.
But I know the pressure of a studio delivering content for their fan base, and I understand that if they didn't do it, it would have looked kind of odd. I get that, but if they were going to do a continuation, they could have just broke away from the sort of, don't call it episode 7, 8 and 9. Just move on. Call it a different thing. The New Republic or something like that, trilogy, could have called it, and moved on.
Or do George Lucas's original treatment, which he had gave to them as part of the takeover, just fulfil his vision, because it was his story, and then cut a complete sort of, set it free, cut free from the Skywalker saga, Lucas's sort of storytelling, and go and do your own thing after that. Obviously, it would have been expensive fan fiction regardless, because it's not George Lucas who's at the helm in any sort of vein. It would have been, he'd have been basically overseeing it, because it was his treatments. So his fingerprints would have been on it. But it still wouldn't have been, because he wouldn't have been in the director's seat or involved intimately in the process. But they could have done his stories and then went off and done their own thing.
Well, I think with this film, Starfighter, or whatever they want to call it, is something that maybe it's a new start. Maybe it is a new start for Star Wars, and they'll take it. They'll take that film as a standalone film, very much the same way that the original Star Wars film was made. I know George Lucas has went over this story, how he decided to take the middle part of a story and put it out as a first film. Whether I don't know if that's true or not, but there was no intention at the time from him, and unless it succeeded, or from the studio for episode 5, episode 6 and so forth. They concentrated on that story because it was probably the most interesting part of the story, and that's what you've got to get back to, storytelling. You've got to get back to intriguing your audience again and getting them believing in this world again and believing in the characters without the politics, without agendas. just good versus evil. That's what most people want to see. They want to see the good guys succeed.
Yeah.
And that's what Star Wars intentionally was about. The original Star Wars film, as we know, is called A New Hope now. And see where it takes us. See where this Ryan Gosling film takes us. If it's something that's not connected to the Skywalker saga, great. That's what we'd saying. That's what you should have been doing back in 2015. And take it from there and see how it's received. Because the nostalgia it's been done, John. They can't keep getting back to this.
No.
They can't keep. That's why I'm doing it. It's nothing to do with Daisy Ridley. It's more to do with the character. But it's getting back over old ground. I think the Rey character served her purpose. She had her journey through those 3 films. I don't really see why we need to see this character rebuild the Jedi Order.
Yeah, it's not like it's the Skywalkers. I mean, she's not a Skywalker. We've kind of covered that, but I'm going to go over it again. The necessity for the second trilogy of Star Wars, the prequels, was because George decided to go in the middle of a story and tell a story of Darth Vader and Luke redeeming him, and then he wanted to go back and complete it. And those were interconnected because it was father and son, and the stories were intricately connected. The sequel trilogy, there's no requirement to continue on. Luke's dead, Leia's dead, Han's dead. All we're really, fucking Kylo's dead, so that's the one connection to those original characters. Blood, lineage. All we've really got is Rey.
Palpatine's dead.
Yeah, is he?
Oh, is he?
Is he? For fuck's sake. Bring him back again. So there's no requirement to continue the story on. We don't need to do it. So I don't know why they're choosing to do it. It's idiotic to me. But hey ho, they've got an agenda, as we've said before. Stephen, Ryan did speak about Levy's direction, and I'm going to get into this. I think he is a good director. Free Guy in Deadpool and Wolverine. I enjoyed Deadpool, despite the sort of retrospective shitting on it, saying it was just a fan service movie. I actually did think it was a pretty good film. There was some nonsensical stuff in there in terms of the script, a lot of MacGuffins and whatnot, but in the main I thought it was a decent film and a return to form for Marvel. Free Guy I liked, funny film. Yeah. But he said the reality is that this script is just so good. It has such a great story with great and original characters. It's filled with so much heart and adventure. And there's just really, and there just really is not a more perfect filmmaker for this particular story than Sean. I've looked into his back catalogue of films, Night at the Museum movies. They were all right. The first one was all right.
I'm laughing for a reason there because it reminded me of the Richard E. Grant.
Yeah.
I'm so emotional.
Yeah, I was emotional.
How powerful this story is. Fuck off.
And Richard's usually a guy you can take at face value.
Exactly.
He's a man of integrity. I do think he genuinely enjoyed the movie because he was in it. But fucking terrible film. And just a completely forgettable performance from Richard. This is a guy that's been going for Academy Awards his whole career. Yeah. Brilliant actor. That was a shite performance. Pink Panther, fucking dreadful film. Dreadful film. So he's had some fucking lemons in there, Sean. Let's not be fooled. Night of the Museum, Free Guy, Deadpool, they're all distinctly... They've got a style about them, the comedy, and I'm not in complete agreement with Ryan that he's the perfect filmmaker. I don't know that humour translates into a Star Wars movie. I don't know if that makes a jump. I'm slightly concerned about that. But we'll see. They are family-friendly action-adventure movies, so he's got experience dealing with multi-demographic films. And the Night of the Museum movies were successful. I didn't think they were the best after the first, but they were successful. Also, the late, great Robin Williams in there. So, time will tell with that. Stephen, the actors, though, also John Boyega came out and was attacking racist Star Wars fans. Now, I'm not going to take offence to that because I'm not fucking racist. But, and if someone did rightly say at the time, if you're getting offended at him speaking about racist Star Wars fans, does that make you a racist? Because you're getting offended at him speaking about a particular element of the fandom, presumably, and then you're taking offence. That means you're part of that sect of that fandom, i.e. the fucking racists. But I can understand why some people were getting their backs up because it didn't really translate like that. It translated like he was just shitting on the Star Wars fans. And also Kelly Marie Tran came out now and said that Star Wars fandom is completely racist. There is racist elements, but I think we have to get away from this branding the fan base racist, because I don't think 90% of them are racist. I think the vast majority are just really passionate. They want to see a vision, a more positive vision.
But I think in terms of the two people you've just mentioned, anyone that checks our channel and has been following this channel for the last 7 or 8 years will know that the Kelly Marie Tran stuff, when it was initially coming out on social media, she had to come off social media because it was that bad. We defended that, John. We thought, this was just after The Last Jedi, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And same with John Boyega. I think both of us love him as an actor.
Yeah.
And
wanted more for the character.
agreed that it was definitely shat on. In terms of the promises of the character and the potential of the character and where it led to becoming the sort of black friend of Rey, the main character in Rise of Skywalker. And it was I felt that bad for him in the film because his character was just it was just following her about shouting Rey, Rey the whole time, and it was just, you're like, I remember the first trailer that came out, I thought, oh, this guy looks great. I like the fact we're going to doing a backstory of a
stormtrooper.
A stormtrooper who's missing in action, who's on the run, and find out his backstory.
Oh, Stephen's gone. Stephen's gone. So we'll go to a wide shot of me, whilst Stephen potentially works on that. Are you back?
I'm here.
You're back. You were gone briefly there, Stephen.
I think in terms of there we go. I don't know what happened there.
We had a little grey one earlier as well.
Actually went into standby mode.
Oh, was that what it was?
So, but apart from that, just looking at back at the way the character was treated, I totally agree that he has got a right to voice his opinion of his experience on set, and definitely the sort of way things panned out for the character. And I don't hold a grudge for that, because I actually do agree with him largely.
Yeah, but it was Lucasfilm.
The character was treated and the way the actor was treated. Yeah. But it's an odd thing for him to come out with this now.
I think he's coming back, Stephen.
It's as if he's distanced himself. He probably sees, I'll not be getting back to that studio anytime soon. I think initially there was maybe a potential of perhaps maybe carrying on his story at some point as well. I think we covered that, John.
Yeah.
Continuing the story of Finn. But I think that's all dead in the water, and I think he feels more free to speak more in his opinion.
See, I thought that, Stephen, when he was coming out and shitting on Star Wars in general.
Yeah.
But there was a change of tack when he started attacking the fandom. It's like, has he been offered another fucking role and he's going to take it? I hope he doesn't, because the character is just dead in the water. Like you said, it was relegated to being shit. And it had so much potential. It was the most interesting character in terms of backstory, going from a First Order stormtrooper to being horrified at their actions, and then maybe becoming like a Jedi and a leading hero figure of the sort of New Republic, I think it was at that time. That would have been an incredible story. And he's a much more talented actor than Daisy Ridley. So they completely dropped the ball. But I felt a little bit put out, even though he's not referring to me in particular, because I was never at any point posting fucking racial motivated hate on social media. I was backing the guy from the very start. Brilliant actor. Love him as a guy off screen. He seems to be a really fucking cool guy, full of energy and enthusiasm. But I felt shitting on the fans who in the main fucking loved him, wanted the character to succeed. I thought that was a misstep from Jonathan. And then you've got Oscar Isaac. I mean, they dropped the ball with him as well. His character had so much potential and they just didn't do anything with him. And again,
the problem with Oscar Isaac's character was, John, he was originally intended to be killed off halfway through The Force Awakens, so they didn't have a long-term plan for him to begin with. It wasn't until they saw the potential and definitely the chemistry between John Boyega. I think both of them worked really well together. John, you kind of saw the early signs of Finn and where his character was going in the Last Jedi. His first line after coming out of that coma was, "I've only got one thing to ask: where's Rey?"
Where's Rey?
Right away, Ray's in his mind. That's all he's thinking about the whole time.
Not even that.
It portrays a weak character. He's a needy character, you know. And I just knew when I saw that sequence, I thought, nah, I don't like where this is going.
Just not. I'd never understood it either. It didn't make any sense in terms of the in-universe context. They'd met like 2 minutes, and then it's like he's infatuated. It just didn't make any fucking sense to me. I don't get it. Just lazy storytelling. We want this guy in here because the fans love him, and he's a positive sort of person to be around, but we don't actually want to do anything interesting with his character because it's all about Ray, who's a fucking boring, beige, uninteresting character. I don't know. But look, I'm not interested in a new Ray movie. Ryan, I hope he does succeed in terms of this film. I don't know much about the actual script. We just know it's called Starfighter. That apparently is a name, by the way. It's not a working title.
Yeah.
So I presume he's going to be like a starfighter, maybe a pilot.
Top Gun in space.
Yeah, Top Gun in space. I hope it succeeds, but there's a part of me even now that thinks even though he's been whisked out onto stage at Celebration, I don't think it will actually happen because I just do not trust Lucasfilm or Disney with their announcements. We've had Patty Jenkins, we've had Taika Waititi, Rian Johnson, thank fuck it's not happened, but it did get announced. Kevin Feige, the D.B. Wise and David Beinoff movies or TV shows, they've all failed. Every one of them are stuck in production purgatory. Kathleen came out and said, well, they're still happening. There's not been an update. Bullshit. They've been announced, they never happened. So part of me still thinks probably won't happen. But look, it's 2 years away, nearly. May 7th, 2027. Thinking back to that time line as well of releasing a Star Wars movie in the height of summer or the beginning of summer. I think that's a misstep.
As well, John, at that point.
Yeah, but it's a misstep, isn't it, Stephen? I mean, the Star Wars is not fit for that release slate anymore. It should be coming out in Christmas to maximise the sort of legs.
I think it's to do with the 50th anniversary of A New Hope, though, John. That's probably the reason for it. It's probably to coincide with that.
Do you think that's a fitting film to come out?
No, I don't think any film's fitting, to be honest with you.
I think that's fucking hell. That's disappointing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, maybe I'm wrong. Well, it could be great. It could be great. We'll just have to sit and wait.
I do get that, and you touched on it. I do get the sense of a lot of Star Wars YouTube channels and the personnel behind these want Star Wars to crash and burn and fade, and then they can moan about how it was killed off by the one person. But deep down, I want it to succeed. Doesn't matter who the president is, John. Or as long as the storytelling is there, it's the most important thing about Star Wars is the storytelling, and it always has been. They've kind of lost their way a bit. When in terms of that, there's been no originality for a long time with Star Wars. It's all based off existing characters or an existing timeline, and they're too frightened to move away from that. So perhaps maybe this is the film that kickstarts it all again. I hope it is. I really do hope it is, because I think in terms of generations growing up, I think they're missing out on a lot because of a lot of bad decisions, and they're not getting any inspiring films or storytelling. So hopefully this could be the start of, what was it they said, the character in The Force Awakens?
This will begin to make
hopefully
things
this
right.
will make things, so hopefully it is.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's probably going to have to be, Stephen, because they're not really announcing much else. We know we're getting the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. We know we're getting Ahsoka. But there's not any real announcements in terms of future projects here on this sort of celebration schedule. So looks like they're putting all their eggs in one basket. And fair play, look, maybe Taika's still working in the background and we are going to get a whole slate of Star Wars movies coming out year after year after year, and they'll all be great. I hope they are. Like you, I'm a Star Wars fan. I want it to succeed ultimately. And look, to be fair, we've got fans putting fan films out. I've seen Star Wars Theory has released a trailer for Vader Episode 2. Not seen it yet because I don't know if we're going to react to it or not, but I mean, the first one was pretty fucking decent. So we have got impassioned Star Wars fans out there who are taking it into their own hands at least. So if they drop the ball again, then maybe we've got that to rely on. A new era of fandom-made films using AI or something. I don't know. So, time will tell. But ultimately, I don't think it will fucking come out at the moment. I don't know if it will come out or not. I'm siding with I don't trust them. And I'm not convinced it will even come out at this point. I hope it does, though, because I do like Ryan. But, Stephen, I don't know if you've got anything else to say on the matter. Shall we round it up? Round it up on that note, then. What's your thoughts on what's your farts? My dog's flatulence is getting into my inner workings and I just can't get out of it now. What is your thoughts on Star Wars Celebration 2025? It's in Tokyo. Is it in Tokyo? I don't know where it is.
I don't know.
I'm putting my fucking... I'm putting my faith in it being in Tokyo. I'm going to search it up. I actually don't know anything about it. What is your thoughts on it, though? Are you looking forward to maybe more announcements? What has been your thought? It is in Tokyo. What is your thoughts on it to this point? Did you even know it was happening? Me and Stephen didn't up until, today? Thoughts on the new Star Wars movie that's been announced, Starfighter, starring Ryan Gosling, produced, directed, I presume, by Sean Levy. Thoughts on anything else we've discussed? If you've got anything to share, put it down below in the comments section. Like the video if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon to get notifications straight to your eyes. I've still got this fucking pencil in my hand. I don't know why. Put it away. Do the same thing over on Twitch. Follow button, notifications button over there to see us live on a completely different platform doing the exact same thing. And all that's left to be said is until next time, thank you for watching us. And bye-bye.